Hey moguls, it's Dr. T here, and we're going to do an important upgrade, moguling on up into a higher level of mogul reality by helping you have an easier time with addiction recovery. So let's dive in because the focus today is to make it easier to go through a step by step process of doing addiction recovery. And specifically, the example I'm going to use today is addiction to alcohol. So while we can have addictions to all kinds of things, because we're in a system that is constantly getting us to try to raise our dopamine and then keep going for more and all of that, we're going to focus on the alcohol part today. Just so you have a sense, my original background as a psychologist, even though I've spent years helping people live their highest purpose and ambitions and greatest success, it's always been helping people go from whatever these difficulties are, these programs that are running, these patterns that are happening, and putting them into their highest mogul self, their highest purpose, creating their highest life, ultimate reality, empires, dynasties, the things that they really want to be doing. So, this is definitely my wheelhouse. So, first and foremost, step one is to understand what is actually happening when we feel an addiction to alcohol. Step one is to first get that we don't need to have any shame in this game because our society encourages people to become addicts. And one of the biggest addictions that we encourage as a culture people to do through our social habits is drink alcohol. We have a society that is so full of emotional children that are traumatized and have not been taught properly through an appropriate educational mogul training system that should be in place since we're little. We have been taught to be in a certain reality, which is a pretty low frequency if we all get honest about it from the beginning. And most of our reality in the mass population, except for a small minority of people, has been entirely traumatic, dysfunctional, suppressive, um, not strategic, taking you through a school system that's just going to teach you to be a slave instead of teach you to be a mogul. Uh, we've got a whole society, a whole human race that is basically growing up in a traumatized experience, except for a small group of people, while they simultaneously encourage you to self medicate with alcohol, which is one of the ways that they also subdue the masses. So they get you. So this is why you got to forgive yourself. Step one, to understand what's been happening to you is going to change your life. They first get you when you're very little to just be sucked into this system and whatever limited information, intelligence, and capacity your parents have, with all due respect to them and everything they tried to do. They're operating in a system that they went through, a really crappy educational system for the most part, unless they were very fortunate to be one of the top people in the world who get the top education. They were coming from that place. They were coming from being traumatized in dysfunctional families, depression, anxiety, reactivity, anger, frustration, and stress. And over the course of time, over several decades, uh, our modern society has just been turning up the heat on people. Going from a society which used to have somebody have a high school degree, be able to have a home, a second home, four kids, two cars, and do that all in a high school education with surplus disposable income to spend on hobbies and time to do it. Our modern society has become so incredibly imprisoning, enslaving, turning up the heat, turning us into slaves. This happened to your parents, your family, getting tougher and tougher, even though we get technically smarter, more technology, more awareness, more information. The system itself has just been turning up the heat like you're a frog in a pot. And your family system, the ones of the people around you, and your life has just gotten more intense and more extreme. So, what do they do when they do that? They encourage you even more to self medicate so you don't know what is happening to you. And that is how they control the masses to keep doing it to you and find more and more ways to then get you to do more of what they want, have you buy more, work more, produce more for them, extract out of you, give you more things you have to do, like it takes 72 pieces of software now to run one human life, sell you anything and everything they can sell you, get you to scroll, get you to do everything, get you to tighten the grips on your own self, while they then offer you this opportunity to self-medicate, check out, leave reality, party like the cool people with the Lambos, and lose yourself temporarily while they jack up your dopamine to get you to feel like things are better than they are, because you can then look forward to that little break in reality, even though after that you're going to come down hard because you pumped up the dopamine so high, which has not happened to us naturally. Alcohol is one of the worst things for that. Pumped it up so high that you could get high, forget about your troubles and the fact that most people are living in the modern slave system with a few people at the top pulling all the strings. And you've just been absolutely indoctrinated into that. And they've gotten you to program yourself into an addict with an addiction to alcohol. So forgive yourself, first and foremost. All right? This was on purpose and it's been done to you. So now that you know, you're waking up, you're more conscious. Instead of being an addict to alcohol, you're here to be a powerful, influential creator of reality and a top mogul. So let's move on. Now that you've forgiven yourself, you understand that you have been, I hate this stuff, I'm sorry, but you've been completely programmed. Now we're going to move in the direction of our intentions, and we're going to put those intentions in so you have a replacement program that we're going to install and run instead. So what I need you to think about, your invitation is, in place of an addiction to alcohol, or in place of having an alcohol addiction, what are your intentions? So I want you to connect with that for a moment. And what comes in, these are the important answers. So I'm just going to prime myself and see what comes in. In place of an alcohol addiction is an amazing dynasty of top moguls who receive an epic mogul transformation. There we go. I could even also say, in place of an alcohol addiction is a mogul transformation. So maybe that would be a good upgrade for all of you who are moving in this direction to go from being in an addiction to being a mogul of your reality and getting into your creations and innovations. So in place of an alcohol addiction is a mogul transformation. And what's great about that is this is going from being a slave to the addiction with alcohol to being a master of your reality and being a creator who is powerful. So we got to have the upgrade. We got to know what's the intention. What are we going for? So if you have any others, let's think about what they are. So I'm going to go through that process to give you more examples. So in place of an alcohol addiction is incredible content creation. That's what's coming up for me. So let's see what comes up for you. In place of an alcohol addiction is, go ahead and fill in what that is. So this is your new program that's running. In place of an alcohol addiction is a new innovation for the nation. That's what's coming up. In place of an alcohol addiction is a new innovation for the nation. We'll see what that is. We'll see what else that wants to give to me. In place of an alcohol addiction is a new experience in connection. That could also be it. In place of an alcohol addiction is enthusiasm and inspiration. That's what's coming in. In place of an alcohol addiction is a fit body. In place of an alcohol addiction is a fit body and a self-connection. That's what's coming in. So I want you to take a moment and think about in place of an alcohol addiction is, and you're going to decide what your new program is that we're going to install in your system. Could be, there it is. In place of an alcohol addiction is an upgraded operating system. So you're going to take a moment, if you need to pause the video for a moment, and you're going to connect to what you are upgrading to. In place of an alcohol addiction is an amazing, easy detoxification. So let's move into that next step. So now what we need to know, moguls, is that we're going to go through a detoxification. And it's going to be very important for your energy system, because when you've had alcohol as a primary process in your life, you've been playing with the dopamine receptors and you've been raising dopamine way past baseline, which is what makes you feel good and you want more. But then what it does is it drops it way down below baseline. And then you need more of that substance to get even, let alone to get high. So you've been jacking up the dopamine receptors, and we've got to go through the process where you're going to feel the detox in order for your system to begin to get reprogrammed and understand that you're not going to get so high that it has to counter by taking your dopamine way under baseline. Want to be more even. So we're going to be willing to go through a detoxification, and the fact that we're going to do that is a good sign. I'm going to invite you to be willing to be uncomfortable in order to be a mogul. And out of all the amazing moguls in the world that I know, one of the greatest skills they have is they're willing to be uncomfortable. So that's another upgrade we're going to do. It's an intention. So this is what we're going to program in. In order to be a mogul, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Okay, let's do that again. In order to be a mogul, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Now, I'm going to invite you to take that and recognize that you're going to move through some discomfort, and that detoxification is a positive sign that your system is purifying and clearing. The discomfort is because your body is getting adjusted to, like, what the hell is the program? And when you feel uncomfortable, I'm going to invite you to say and think, I'm willing to be uncomfortable in order to be a top mogul, which means powerful, influential, powerful creator, influential leader. So you're going to let that detoxification happen, but we're going to put something else in its place. So one of the things I notice is that when people decide they're not going to drink alcohol anymore, what they do is they say, I'm not drinking anymore, which is very weird because you are still drinking, but you're not drinking alcohol. I find this confusing. So somehow we've replaced the word drinking with meaning alcohol, and we've got to upgrade that. So instead of thinking I'm not drinking anymore, the program is that I'm upgrading to whatever it is, XYZ, in place of alcohol. So let's think of what we want to replace that with. So in place of alcohol is having it all. I really like that one. In place of alcohol is having it all. And in place of alcohol is feeling powerful. In place of alcohol is being magical. And in place of alcohol is getting to show people the path through. So we want to replace it. So I'm going to have you connect to, in place of alcohol is, and you're going to put a replacement there. So let yourself, it's going to answer and give you the program. We got to let the programming come in. In place of alcohol is having it all. That's one I really like. And now I've been doing this for many years, so I'm primed to get the answer, but you let the answer come in. In place of alcohol is being more relational. In place of alcohol is being more visceral. I don't know what that's coming up. Visceral. I like feeling. So we need a replacement. So we got to know what we're putting in its place, and we got to tell our system this is what we're doing instead. We're making an upgrade. If we tell our system we're taking something away, it doesn't like it, but it likes when we put something there instead. So instead of taking something away, we're putting something new at play. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be another beverage. It doesn't have to be food. It can be whatever. So in place of alcohol is being purposeful. It's another one. So you're going to connect to what you're going to put in there instead. And your invitation, moguls, is that every time you feel that discomfort and you say, in place of being comfortable is being a mogul, you're now going to go into what you're going to put in its place. Being more purposeful, having it all, whatever those things are, we got to put a replacement program in. So could be whatever. Could be being a ballroom dancer. Could be walks in nature. It could be, again, being a YouTube creator. It could be whatever it is for you. Being an influencer. Being a good hugger. And we're going to do something, we're going to do that thing, which is not something, we don't want to go do something that's going to create some other addictive process. We're going to do something that's going to lead us through to our purpose. So you're going to think about what that is instead. And with something like an alcohol addiction, which is very intensive and difficult because it's on purpose to keep you there, keep you stuck and imprisoned and enslaved. And now you're going to become a master mogul. In place of alcohol is master mogul. So there it is. In fact, we're going to do that. In place of alcohol is being a masterful mogul, which is the video is about. And then instead of something that where you would have gone and indulged in that, I'm going to have you do something that is about being a mogul. It could be sending an email of appreciation to somebody. It could be looking up some quick piece of research. It could be doing, 20 push-ups because you're going to be a fit mogul. It could be eating something healthy because you're going to be a healthy mogul. You're going to do something that puts you in a state of being powerful, because remember, that's what being a mogul is. So every time you might want to go indulge in alcohol, you're going to go engage in being a mogul. So see, there's another upgrade of programming. Every time I may want to indulge in alcohol, I'm going to engage in being a mogul. And then let yourself know, go do something that is a part of that being powerful. And it could be being restful, right? It could be listening to yourself. It could be any number of things, but in place of alcohol, in place of an addiction to alcohol, is being a powerful mogul, being a masterful mogul, whichever one you like. Now, in order to shift from an addiction to alcohol, we're going to need to allow our being to go through multiple rounds of the new programming so that each time it thinks it should be doing the same thing it's been doing for many years now. We're going to have a new moment where it tries to say, oh, it's time for this thing. And instead of fighting with it, you're going to do these things that we just went over. And then that moment's going to pass. And then when it comes up again and you're meeting head to head with the old programming, you're going to put in the new intentional programming, the mogul programming. Goes around, here it is again. In place of being comfortable is being a mogul. In place of an addiction to alcohol is doing something as a mogul, as a powerful mogul. You're going to do that each time. So you got to keep reprogramming, reprogramming, reprogramming. Now, as you go through the programming process, there'll end up being resistance to the last parts of where this is extinguishing. because those programs are meant to stay in place only because the self is used to homeostasis. It thinks it needs to keep you wherever you are, even if it's bad. So you need to go through those iterations of replacing and reprogramming yourself. So instead of being that slave and with an addiction to alcohol, you are a masterful, powerful mogul who is having it all. Isn't that great? So that would be another. It's like, what would be something I could do that represents having it all? So you got to reprogram. It's never an absence. We never do a not thing. We never say, oh, I'm not doing this. We're always doing something. So you're going to put something in its place. Something that brings you closer to your higher reality, being purposeful, powerful, wonderful, adorable, being a mogul. So now we've gone through several steps of what it takes to go from being somebody that is struggling with an addiction to alcohol to fully recovering into becoming a mogul who is having it all. So we're going from an addiction to alcohol to upgrading into a mogul who is powerful and having it all. You're going to implement these steps. What I really want to hear from you, what I want to get in the comments is what exactly you are replacing alcohol with in addition, and what's your version of being a masterful mogul? What's it going to do? You're going to create some art. You're going to create some new connections. You're going to create a new innovation. You're going to create a new body. You're going to create a new level of fun with your kids, whatever it is. I'm going to have you comment on what it is. So you stake that claim. We know how it's going. And this is that masterful mogul upgrade to absolutely, completely empower you through addiction recovery. All right, moguls, thanks for tuning in. I'd really appreciate you subscribing so I know this is working. So I'm supporting you, you're supporting me. It helps me keep bringing this content to you philanthropically. Like the video and share it with somebody, because I think at this day and age, most everyone we know is struggling with an addiction to something. All right, masterful moguls, way to make this upgrade. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.